Hi, and welcome to the Pink Sheep Tales podcast. Pink Sheep Tales? What's this all about, I hear you ask? Well, the name is based on the old saying, black sheep of the family, and tales, T-A-L-E-S, is a play on words because we'll be hearing people's life stories. So through this podcast, I'm so excited to be able to share these remarkable stories from inspirational children and adults with you. These everyday people are building amazing businesses, excelling in their careers, exceptional in their industries, choosing unique career paths, and all in the name of living their best life. My goal is to encourage listeners to follow their passions and be inspired by our pink sheep who have and are doing just that. So let's do it. Let's open the gate and hear this week's Pink Sheep Tale. So welcome back everyone. Tessa and I have just finished our interview, and I always love hearing from our little pink sheep's parents. So mummy and daddy pink sheep. So we've grabbed Michael and Megan, who are Tessa's parents, and they've graciously said that they will come on and give us more of a background of Tessa and themselves. And I hear that there's a really good love story to share as well. So we must hear about that. So I'll welcome Michael and Megan to the Pink Sheep Tales podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you again for giving me your Sunday to interview Tessa and yourself. So it's really appreciated. So as we usually start, just to give everyone a bit of a background on who we're speaking with, would you like to give us a little background of yourselves, as much as you'd like, professionally, personally? So let's start with Megan.
Sure.
People might be able to hear in the background, we've got Tessa, who's keeping things in order in the background there, and doing a bit of producing, maybe we'll say, to keep things running smoothly.
As you know, my name's Megan. I have been married to the lovely Michael for 20 years. We just celebrated last year.
Congratulations.
And we have two wonderful girls who we're very lucky to have. So Eliza and Tessa, who you've already been speaking with. And so I thought I would start my, career as a primary school teacher. But as luck would have it, that didn't quite pan out. And ever since then, I've been working in the field of human resources now for quite some time.
Oh, fantastic. And Michael, how about yourself?
Well, I'm an engineer at the moment. I grew up in Western Australia, in Perth, and studied over there, and then went travelling and met this person called Megan, who was from Brisbane, and we moved over here in 2001, and we've been here since, and I'm still doing engineering related work, but also playing the space of corporate innovation and assisting organisations to do that better.
Oh, fantastic. You have another extra to your portfolio as well.
I do. I play the flute.
Oh, and something else. You're graphic designing.
I do, yeah. I'm got an interest in maths, being an engineer, and I'm also interested in how maths and art and music all fit together. And so over the years I've played with turning maths into something that looks nice, a graphic design. So been playing with fractals and things like that over the years and produce those sorts of photos.
And they're fantastic.
They're good fun.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of Michael taking that big step last year into that. Excellent Michael. Young Tessa, she's in year 8.
Yes.
But in our conversations that we've had through the months and then just before, you could see the organising spark in her eyes from a very young age. So I know one of the occasions was Megan's parents giving her a cleaning trolley.
So my parents saw her interest in cleaning and tidying from the very get-go. And when she would have been not long after walking, so perhaps about 3, found a little cleaning trolley and gave it to her, and that had a little mop and bucket, and she pushed it around and tied it away. And then a little bit further on, when she was a little bit older, I do recall one Christmas we actually went to Bunnings to buy her a special broom with the flip down dustbin attachment, because that was a little bit of a favourite too. We must have been somewhere and she saw one of those. So some unusual presents, you would say, for a child. But yes, from very early days, lots of busy tidying and organising.
Yes, and Michael, I believe her first venture was with your shoes.
Yeah. I've got a distinct memory of Tessa tidying shoes in the shoe rack just in front of the front door of the house. And she hadn't spoken very much, if at all, from memory at that time. And then one afternoon I remember her standing up very straight and pointing directly at my shoes, which to a 2-year-old would have probably appeared pretty big because I'm 6 foot plus.
Yes.
And she pointed at them and she said, "Dad's shoes." And that were the first 2 words that I heard that made sense, or a sentence, I suppose. And it was all about arranging the shoes. So,
wow.
Yeah, very early on.
Oh, gosh. Well, I think it's fantastic, and it's totally not bizarre for me, because I'm like, yes, I totally remember having those feelings of wanting to organise and everything. So, yeah, it's fantastic. And I love that she's such a sweet young lady and can see that her talent in organising can help the family. And with Tessa's initiative to organise and help with the family, how does that impact on day-to-day life for yourselves?
I think Tessa's interest and skill in that area translates into organising her time really well. So you probably talked about Tessa's interest in dancing in her podcast. Tessa does a lot of dance lessons, which is great for her mind and her body and making friends. It means that we have a busy schedule, and so organisation and planning ahead and making sure things are neat and done on time is really important. So Tessa's been able to translate that interest and skill of tidying up at the tennis court or with a plastic trolley into managing her time at high school and organising her locker to go with her at high school, so everything is in place, ready to go, and that helps in a busy schedule. And I think she's done that more or less off her own bat, and has taken it upon herself to organise herself in that way so that she can manage what she likes to do, which is dancing and obviously being organised.
Yeah, and that is fantastic, because sometimes it can be very overwhelming for children, particularly this is her second year of high school, and it's much different to primary school. So having that natural ability and interest to be organised and keep life running smoothly is a major help.
Absolutely. And I think too, she has inspired us to, I guess, get a little bit more organised ourselves, and Tess and I do quite a bit of organising together, but that's primarily prompted by her, and I would say that she's really, her organising has got us organised and better functioning as a family.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's so great. Like, another thing we have in common, Tessa, is we're the youngest. Maybe we'll have to do a little study on that to see if there's something with the youngest and organising. I'm not sure. And when you go on your little ventures to IKEA, how long do you think an average trip would be?
Well, we're getting better because we try to plan first. So often together or with Tessa, she will have done a map or a little bit of a plan of what we might need before we venture out. But as you know, it's a little bit of a lost pit that you can get a little bit lost in. Find a little bit easier to tackle Kmart. Not quite so overwhelming, but generally it's about an hour and a half probably trip with IKEA.
So much to look at. So much. Oh gosh. So with Tessa managing her time, as we were saying, that impacts on the entire family. So that would help yourselves in, because you've got busy professional lives as well, in keeping your lives running smooth with work and getting everywhere on time. So
absolutely, we're at that stage of life where it's all very busy and everything seems to be about logistics. And we often say we rarely have time to talk about anything else other than logistics of who needs to be where and when. But very helpful to have Tessa helping to get us organised, and that even comes down to lots of timetabling. And I have to say, Eliza is very good at the timetabling as well, so we shouldn't forget that.
No, excellent. And Tessa was very proud of the ironing station.
Yeah, well, that was an IKEA trip as well, but it was a lot of planning beforehand. So we worked out the functionality of it and what we didn't want to see and what we did want to see in that space to make it look neat and tidy. And the good thing about that trip to IKEA was we went down with a plan, and then we started looking at stuff, and the details of the plan changed, and we were able to negotiate that change and come up with a different solution than what we originally planned, but a better one. And I think also having that flexibility that Tessa showed then is something that is not easy as well. So you've got to stick with why you're doing something and then come to a better solution than perhaps you had before, and that's a good skill to have as well.
Yeah.
So we did that. We're still talking about it. There's still room for improvement here and there, but it's much better than it used to be.
It looks fantastic. It looks fantastic, and it's great. You've great family communication, open communication system, and it's really lovely. Like I always pick up on, you've got a very loving family and very open and caring with each other and respectful of everyone's different opinions or different ways of doing things and different skills. It's really lovely. So it's great, because sometimes that could have turned into quite a situation.
Yeah, we are very mindful of that, because often, particularly with Eliza, sometimes she finds the systems cause a little bit of stress if she doesn't stick with the planned system that's been put in place. But I think we've worked through all levels of compromise around that and come up with something that works for everybody.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, well done, Tessa. We're all very proud of you.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about this love story. Please tell us, because we love love stories.
I think circumstances and people sort of align at a point in time, and it becomes clear that that's what it's all about. And so situations might arise, but the people might not be ready, or vice versa. And when Megan and I met, both those things aligned. And because I had been in Sydney working for a couple of years as an engineer there, not the most exciting job in the world. So before I met Megan, I decided to move from Sydney back to Perth and do my PhD back there. And I teed up all the paperwork, so I was going travelling before I went back to Perth. So I was in a sort of a transition period with no real immediate commitments, just a few years of study coming up. And I think Megan was in a similar position as well.
I'd been working for a few years and had intended to have a bit of a short holiday with a friend that suddenly turned into, let's go for a bit longer and let's throw in our jobs and go travelling. So that's where I was at. So we would have both been in our early 20s.
You had your 25th birthday. Yeah. So anyway, I was in the office in Sydney, and I knew I was going to resign and go back to Perth. So I wanted to travel internationally, and I was thinking Africa, South America.
Strangely enough, I was thinking Africa, South America. Africa, South America.
So I chose South America, and Megan chose South America, apparently. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the first step.
That was the first step.
So you had met each other by this point?
No. Still hadn't met.
I was
no,
in
that's
Sydney.
just the backstory.
Megan was in Brisbane. Coincidentally, we both chose to go to South America, having weighed up those two continents. And then I was sort of wanting a bit of structure, a bit of help with logistics, getting around the place. I don't want to waste a holiday on working out how to get from here to here, or where's a good place to eat or something. So I was looking at different, not Contiki tours, but a tour or a group where someone would get us somewhere, leave us for a couple of days, and then pick us up and then take us next place. So that sort of take out that hassle.
Guided tour.
Yeah. Do your own thing here for a couple of days, but I'll then take you from here to here. So I picked this particular tour, Peregrine I think it was back then. This is 98, and signed up for that and went across to South America with a guy from the office. We travelled together, and the first stop on that tour was La Paz, which is Bolivia, capital of Bolivia, and we'd been in Chile a little bit before that, but met up in Bolivia to kick this thing off, and that was where Megan and I met.
So we met in La Paz, Bolivia.
Yes.
And I had been travelling with a friend, so we had gone for longer, and he had wanted to return to Paraguay. He'd done exchange there, so we'd been through Paraguay and Chile and Argentina, and I'd been working in the travel industry, so I'd managed to secure a pretty good deal on this tour, which he didn't want to do, but I did, so we compromised and we did half of the trip as he wanted to do it, and then half on the tour. And so at that point, that's when we hooked up on the tour, and I met Michael. And that trip went for 5 weeks, all through Bolivia, Peru and Ecuador. And we probably knew not long in that there was something there, and the night before we had started the hike up to Machu Picchu, we I guess hooked up, as you would say. and carried on our travels. And at the end of that, I was destined to be going on to the UK, and Michael was returning to Australia to a...
Well, I was going back to Perth via Sydney. Before I went to South America and before I met Megan, I'd bought tickets to see U2 at the Sydney Footy Stadium.
Oh.
Been a big U2 fan since 1984. That's another story. And it was the first time I was going to see him. Megan, U2. I went with U2. I went back and saw U2 in Sydney.
Yes. So after 5 weeks...
It was a good concert.
Big concert. Bono's a big draw card. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So Michael departed. I stayed on in South America and went to the Galapagos Islands, did a little bit more travel, and then went on to the UK.
That was
to
the
work,
original plan,
because that was the original plan, and we were very conscious that we were trying to be sensible, and was this a holiday romance? But we knew it really wasn't, but still tried to be sensible about that. And I think I lasted about 4 months in the UK, and I came home and came back to Brisbane, packed my bags. Michael came over and met my family, and then I moved to Perth.
Aww. And so this is before the days of social media.
Yes.
So how were you keeping in touch with each other? Lots of phone calls?
Letters and phone calls.
Letters.
And neither of us had any money at the time. And I remember you even sent me over some money at one stage to help pay for the phone calls.
Aww. Do you have the letters still?
Yes.
Aww.
On the old airmail.
Yeah.
The old
Yes.
light airmail.
Oh, how cute.
What are they called again? The ones that are the letter and the envelope?
Aerogram.
Ah.
Yeah. Stick up the sides and the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was, as with many romances, there were lots of mixtapes involved. Yes, lots of aerograms. And
remember when I got back to Perth through Sydney after seeing you two, went back to Perth, and I thought, I've got to tell Mum and Dad about what's happening in South America. So I remember very clearly Mum and Dad's house in Perth, the steps, and Mum was sitting on the steps and I was sort of standing at the bottom, and I said to Mum, I've met a girl in South America. I could see her face has just gone white. And she looked at me and she said, does she speak English? And I said, well, sort of. She's from Queensland. I mean, so yeah, more or less, but not what you think, Mum. and then both our parents were very supportive of us, which would not have been easy. Being a parent now, I understand it would have been difficult, but they trusted us, And so that was January, February, March 98. And then we were married in October 99. We engaged beginning of 99.
So everyone thought I was a bit bonkers moving to Perth for some guy that I'd known for 5 weeks.
Marrying a West Australian, it can't end well, but it has.
Oh, it has. Oh, I think that's lovely. It's a movie script.
Well, yeah. So that was October 99, and it was nice because we had our wedding. It was a 10 o'clock wedding for a lunchtime reception, and much of Megan's family was on the East Coast and or overseas, and many of them hadn't been to Perth before. So it was a nice trip for lots of people to come to Perth, and we had a reception at a place called Jojo's on the Swan River, which is not there anymore, but it was a restaurant out on a jetty, and so it was over the water, and all these people who hadn't been to Perth before were there, and they were standing out on the deck that looked across to the city and South Perth, and this pod of dolphins went past in the river.
Oh, wow.
So it was a nice day.
Oh,
a nice day
perfect.
for everyone.
Word was out.
Yeah,
Mother's in the air.
impressed these
Right.
Eastern Staters.
Yeah.
That was really
that's
lovely.
fantastic. Oh, I think that's really sweet. What a great... Have you been back to South America?
We toyed with it.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
No, I've been talking about it. Maybe that might be somewhere we could go with the girls.
25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, thank you for sharing that, because I know that's a private story. But
That's all right.
it's such a good one to share. Love it. Okay, well, thank you again for your
Pleasure.
time and
Pleasure.
everything
Thanks, Christine.
today. Oh, you're welcome. And we'll stay in touch. I'll see you all the time. But Annie had said to Tessa, anything she's got coming up in her life that she'd like to share with us, she's most welcome to, and we'll continue following her along, and can't wait till she's a professional dancer like her ambition is.
Yep.
And I said she's dedicated and organised and has such a lovely young lady that it'll happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to you, Christine, for giving her a little bit of inspiration and push on, because I always remember the day, and it must have been a couple of years ago now, where we came home and you noticed that Tess was organised and you did a little system in her drawer of folding.
Yes, that's right.
And so that was lovely encouragement for her as well. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's a nice story. I remember that day too. I was like, we've got an enthusiast here.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, we'll sign off for the afternoon.
Thanks,
and you've got some cookies to enjoy that Tessa's going to make, I've heard.
Yes, they're
So,
yummy. Yeah.
fantastic. Alrighty.
That's great.
So
Thanks,
we'll
Christine.
sign up. Bye-bye.
Right.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you really enjoyed this week's tale. Let me now invite you to pop over to our Facebook group called Pink Sheep Tales Podcast, and there you can stay up to date with all the exciting news from our pink sheep. You can also find myself at OCD, Organising, Cleaning and Decluttering Specialist on Facebook, or on my website ocdpro.com.au. Well, I'll catch you back here next week. Until then, enjoy yourself.